Rebecca Kiefer. I'm the director of the Health and Wellness Center. In my role as director, I'm also a licensed clinical social worker, and I've worked in the field of mental health for over 17 years. So the first time I was really aware of mental health issues was likely when I was in high school, back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And I really got interested in the topic just by taking a class on psychology. And back in those days, mental health awareness really wasn't at the place that it is now. And really, there wasn't a lot of discussion around mental health issues. I try to look at mental health as really a holistic issue and really truly is a medical issue. Mental health is a term that's kind of used fairly loosely in some settings. It's a real thing. People can have real diagnoses under a mental health heading that impact their lives, and they may need, and usually they do need, holistic kind of a care approach to recover. And recovery in terms of mental health is definitely possible. I know a lot of individuals that have been personally impacted by mental health. So I'll tell you a quick story. I was a college student here at Fisher, and when I believe I was a senior, I had a friend of mine who committed suicide. And I actually, right around the same time, experienced the loss of another friend from high school to suicide as well. So definitely, that's just one example of, being impacted by mental health. So I think the first thing is to really not be afraid of talking openly about mental health. People get scared or nervous or afraid because they feel like if they disclose something that somebody might look at them like they're crazy. Or the terminology that's out there, like people are insane or they're lunatics, all those old terms that really need to go away in our vocabulary, because I would say that by and large, most individuals in our society at this time are being impacted by mental health. There was a movie that just came out probably a year ago or so called, I think it was called Split. I believe it was called Split, and it was about an individual that was being portrayed as dangerous, and they had schizophrenia, or they had a split personality, or whatever it is. And that proliferates that mental illness equals danger, and that is typically not the case. Even in people's own families, I'm sure you've heard people say, well, we don't talk about mental health in my family, or I have this one relative that everybody kind of says is that's crazy Uncle Joe, and so stereotypes exist in a lot of different places. We just have to be really diligent around that, and how do we kind of correct people's thinking on those issues.